So, you found what looks like the deal of the century. A week-long cruise for a shockingly low fare that makes your bank account breathe a sigh of relief. You're picturing endless buffets, the white sandy beaches, and the fruity drinks with the little umbrellas, all without breaking the budget. But here's the reality check. Cruises are like that buy one, get one free sale where you still end up mysteriously spending $500. That base fare is only part of the story, and the add-ons can sneak up faster than a midnight buffet. So let's break down the hidden costs of cruising so you can sail prepared without the surprise credit card bill when you get home. First up, gratuities, aka service charges for many lines these days. Almost every cruise line automatically adds daily gratuities to your bill, often ranging from $16 to $22 per person per day. If you're in a suite, by the way, you can expect that number to climb. The translation here is on a 7-day cruise, a couple can rack up over $250 in tips before they've even ordered a pina colada. I would say as a tip, check if you can prepay gratuities before your cruise. Sometimes it helps with budgeting and saves you from the sticker shock on the final night. I know it's something that I always do in advance. I make sure that those gratuities are taken care of so that I don't have to think about it again. Now, I know some people will tip on top of this for really stellar service, and different cruise lines handle gratuity distribution in different ways depending on the way in which their crew is made up. However, I look at paying gratuities or service charges is something that is customary with a cruise line experience these days. It is something that more often than not, the crew have come to expect as part of their compensation. And if you've ever looked at what cruise line crew get paid day to day, it's not much. So these gratuities mean an awful lot for them. Number 2, shore excursions. Sure, you can wander around a port on your own, but cruise lines tempt you with curated tours like swimming with the dolphins, or ATV rides, or cooking classes with local chefs. The problem? Well, these excursions can run anywhere from $50 to $500 per person, and some even more expensive than that. So, a tip for you. Research independent tour operators. Often they're cheaper and more personalized, but make sure they guarantee you'll get back to the ship on time. One trade-off of going the independent route is that they haven't been properly vetted by the cruise line, so you are taking an inherent risk in doing something like that. When I solo travel in particular, will always steer towards a cruise line vetted excursion if I'm going on one, mainly just for the safety net of it all, right? Just because I know that the cruise line knows where I'm going, who I'm with, and that I deserve to return. And if I don't, they have a problem on their hands and they will recognize it. If I'm going out with an independent tour operator, well, that's just not the case. Now, is it? They have no idea where I went and who I'm with. So I often say solo travelers, it's probably a little bit safer to do the cruise line shore excursions. But if you're looking to save a buck and you're with some people, research those independent tour operators. There's a lot of really good ones out there, some very highly rated that you can end up going with and enjoying an off the beaten path excursion that could just save you a lot of money in the end. Next up, Wi-Fi, because we just can't quit TikTok. Now, can we? Most ships, they still charge extra for internet access, and it is rarely cheap. Expect to pay $15 to $30 per day for just a basic package. And then if you want more, if you want streaming, because I see a lot of ships now, especially with the inclusion of Starlink in so many vessels and across so many brands now, streaming is a real option, and it is pretty consistent depending on the brand and the route. I will tell you that if you want streaming, you are going to have to pay for that for sure. So there's going to be an even greater upcharge there when it comes to Wi-Fi. A lot of cruise lines end up doing specific types of Wi-Fi packages, like a social package. They'll do your more streaming end of packages where that will be the highest cost. They might have something in the middle that is a little less than streaming, but will get you access to pretty much anything outside of that. So definitely a lot of consideration when it comes to Wi-Fi on board. And I know nowadays, especially if you happen to have kids, I think the expectation is that they have Wi-Fi while on board. A lot of gamers out there, a lot of kids that stream 24/7 and kind of need that as a security blanket. So I get it. Wi-Fi is a consideration when you book a cruise. So something to definitely think about before your next cruise. They all charge for it now. I will say the exception is really my experience on Virgin Voyages, where they include it as part of your cruise fare. Now, you can certainly pay more for some additional support in the Wi-Fi department on Virgin Voyages, especially if you are looking to attach more devices to their Wi-Fi. However, it is a place where Wi-Fi is rolled into the overall package because I think they know, like, most people want to stay connected even when they're at sea. They want to share their pictures. They want to share things with their family members. So Virgin Voyages goes out of their way on that one. To follow that, we have specialty dining. Yes, the main dining room and buffets are included on almost every cruise, but cruise lines also push specialty restaurants, steakhouses, sushi bars, French bistros. These come with cover charges, somewhere between $20, $75 per person, or a la carte menus are often attached to specialty dining. Now, again, this does depend on the line that you're on, and the pricing will fluctuate pretty substantially. However, it is a situation where specialty dining is so thrown in your face nowadays. It is so aggressively pushed on you when you get on board. You almost feel like you have to do at least one of them. I recently shared in my experience on the Celebrity Reflection, my first time on a celebrity cruise. While the dining was spectacular, I had purchased a 3-night specialty dining package where I could dine anywhere in the specialty dining restaurants for 3 nights during my cruise. But that didn't stop the specialty dining barkers, as I call them, the employees who throughout the day stand in the corridors and kind of harass you to buy into specialty dining. And they do it everywhere. I was sharing in my video on that particular dining experience on board Celebrity Reflection that at one point I was getting on an elevator on one deck and I was being barked at by an employee who was like, "You really need to consider specialty dining. You really need to consider coming to Murano, our French dining, yada, yada." And I was like, I already have a package. I got on the elevator. As soon as I got off the elevator on a different deck, there was another specialty dining employee, crew member, waiting to bark at me more about how I should come to their restaurant. I was like, my God, give me a sticker or something that says, "I've already booked specialty dining here. Leave me alone." But it is something that is becoming a real revenue driver for a lot of the cruise lines. In fact, most of the newer cruise ships in the market, they're coming out with additional specialty dining options because they know people seem to like it, right? People seem to book into them a lot, and therefore it drives up that revenue per voyage for them. So it's a really good option, no doubt, as they continue their bigger builds of bigger ships. I would say, as a tip, pick 1 or 2 splurges for the week. I think your wallet and your waistline will probably thank you. To follow that, we have alcohol and soda. The all-inclusive myth usually doesn't cover alcohol or even soda on most lines. A single cocktail, well, it can run you between $10 and $15, and that's before gratuity. Drink packages exist, but they often cost between $60 and $100 per person per day. Now, I have gotten to the point where I don't ever buy an alcohol package unless it makes sense. If it is a cruise where I am being offered extras, if I am having sort of options thrown at me where maybe it's a cruise they're having a hard time filling, a lot of times they'll add these promotions where you can have a drink package, or a drink package will be heavily discounted as part of sort of the upsell of the cruise. And sometimes I'll take advantage of that if it makes economic sense. I am not a big drinker, right? And I think a lot of people go on cruises because Well, they can drink all they want, but I don't drink a lot just in my normal life. And so it's not really a temptation for me. It's not really something that I think about much. And so the drink package is always the last thing in my mind. However, I will include it if it makes economic sense. And yeah, I will take advantage of that. I'll have a few more alcoholic drinks than I would traditionally have and just enjoy myself. I'll experiment. I'll see if I can't taste some new things on board. Now, when it comes to soda, Disney Cruise Line, they include that in their cruise fare. That's something that you can enjoy. Virgin Voyages is another one where soda is included, and you can go ahead and have all that you want. I really appreciate that because, soda I drink plenty of, and it's really nice to have that as an option on board. Now, a tip for you, do the math. If you're not a big drinker like me, skip the package. You're going to save a lot of money. If you are, though, well, cheers to you, to getting your money's worth. And I know a lot of people nowadays, most cruise lines are cutting you off at 15 drinks. I can't imagine drinking 15 drinks that are alcohol infused throughout a day. I think it's because I'm a lightweight. I don't really drink that much. I feel it after 3, 4 maybe. But I get it. You want to get your money's worth. And so you go, go, go. Next up, we have spa and fitness extras. A massage at sea, you say? Yes, please. Until you see the price tag, of course. Often higher than on land. Think $150 for a basic massage. Fitness classes like yoga or spin can also carry a fee. Many lines have recognized that the spa and fitness perks have become something more and more valuable to passengers, and so they're adding some additional fees to take advantage of that. Now, I have taken advantage of various massage deals over the course of my cruising experience, and typically on port days they will send flyers to your room if they're having problems booking out slots for massages in the spa, and they'll traditionally knock off $50 to $70 off of the traditional massage fare to entice you to come on in and book a massage with them. Now, when that happens, I take advantage of it just because I think, this is pretty on par for what I would pay back on land, and I want to enjoy myself at sea, want to relax, and the massages are great. But keep in mind, they will, and this is across every line, no line is better than the other when it comes to this, because they will absolutely dress you down when it comes to trying to get you to spend more on products you probably don't need, right? They're going to try and get you to buy their shampoos. They're going to get you to buy their massage oils. They're going to try and get you to buy. They have all kinds of products that they want to upsell you in the process. Something I started doing not too long ago, just because I found that I was really bothered by just how intense the sales pitches became from my massage therapist throughout the experience, and it just detracted from the whole relaxation of it all. When you go in to get your massage, they'll hand you basically a clipboard that you write down on it all the things you're looking to experience, or any sort of pain points, pressure points, any sort of health status they should be aware of before they go poking around, that sort of a thing. And I write on the very top of that sheet, "No upsell, please." And that does the trick every single time now. It's the first thing they'll read, and I've only seen one person really acknowledge it. Everybody else reads it and doesn't bother me after that. And so it seems to do the trick, but they will hound you when it comes to the upsells in the spa, and definitely try and get you to buy more before you're out of there. To follow that, we have transportation and parking. Unless you live within walking distance of the port, and I would say lucky you if that's the case, you'll obviously need to be budgeting for flights, hotels, transfers, that sort of a thing. Driving, well, cruise port parking, well, that can be like $15 to $25 per day, sometimes upwards of $30. I know it can be really intense in terms of pricing when it comes to places like New York in particular. So that is something that you need to be thinking about prior to a cruise. Where is it leaving from, and how is that going to affect you transportation-wise? I often will fly in the day before and book a hotel, and I will Uber to where I need to go. It's just a lot easier for me. I'm lucky enough to be in Southern California myself, and I'm just down the road a ways from the Port of Los Angeles. So I have a very sort of lucky situation in my own domain where I can just take an Uber to the cruise ports, drop off, and I am good to go. I don't need to worry about any excess fees. So makes a big difference for sure. And an extra tip for you, consider the off-site parking lots or hotels with parking cruise packages. There are a lot out there. Just start looking at the different hotels in and around ports, and many of them use that as an opportunity to boost their own revenue, and they kind of cut the pricing in half for the sake of many of their parking situations versus what you would pay at the port. So something to definitely consider before your next cruise. Following that, we have souvenirs and photos. Those professional cruise photographers, well, they're everywhere, aren't they? At dinner, at embarkation, when you're just trying to eat pizza in peace, there they are, snapping away. Photos can cost you $15 to $25 each. Add in duty-free shopping, and you've got another sneaky budget buster, don't you? A tip for you, take your own photos. Your phone is more than capable. Pick just 1 or 2 pro shots if you want a keepsake. When I go on a cruise, I don't ask any photographer for a photo. I mean, I avoid them, in fact, when they come to snap my pictures. Sometimes they're at specialty dining now. I've seen that, where they try and come and capture a moment of you at specialty dining. And if I'm traveling solo, I'm like, I don't want a picture of me stuffing my face alone. No, thank you. It's not a memory I want. me hounding my own food and hoarding away over here. No, thank you. So I usually say, no thanks, that's not something that I'm interested in. You can absolutely say no at any point, but they will push you to try and get in front of their props and get in front of their backdrops. And I know for some families, that's like, a really special moment to bring everybody together for those custom photos on board. And sometimes they've got those really unique backdrops where they have the ship behind you, right? So I get those keepsakes. I get that it's important to some folks, but just recognize that is going to cost you a pretty penny too. Photos is big business on board cruise lines. To follow that, daily perks and extras. If you fancy a gelato, maybe premium coffee, or how about room service at 2 a.m.? Well, many of these aren't included in your fare, especially post-pandemic cruising. Boy, have the cruise lines found ways to nickel and dime a lot of things that used to be included, and they've never turned back. Even after recouping many of the losses from the pandemic era, cruise lines have consistently maintained a lot of the nickel and diming. And it's not to say that there isn't demand. There sure is. So they will probably keep at it for the foreseeable future. Even some onboard activities, by the way, like escape rooms or go-karts, specialty cooking classes, they all cost extra, right? They look like a lot of fun, but boy, do those add up fast. A tip for you is to read the fine print before you sail, so you're not surprised when a little treat shows up on your bill. To follow that, we have travel insurance. Now, technically, this is optional, right, but highly recommended. Cruise lines don't cover medical emergencies, missed flights, or lost luggage. Insurance typically adds $100 to $200 per person, but it could save you thousands if things go sideways. I'll say this. I, for the longest time, did not carry travel insurance just because I thought it was an extra charge I would never actually need. However, I started noticing that on almost every cruise I was on, we had some sort of medical emergency on board where somebody needed to be airlifted off or we needed to return to a port. That was happening more and more. And I thought, I guess anything could happen while you're at sea. And it was just sort of this sobering reminder of this is a big deal. This is definitely something that can add up fast. I mean, you want to talk about just that alone, like an airlift off of a ship. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that bill and what that alone costs? Now, hopefully those people ended up being okay, but it's one of those situations where anything can happen on board. And yes, they have great medical facilities on every ship. However, that will cost you a fortune too, just dropping in to see them. That bill is going to be astronomical. A lot of travel insurance does end up covering that. So shop around for third-party insurance instead of defaulting to the cruise line's plan. It's often a lot cheaper and more comprehensive if you go the third-party route, and that more comprehensive piece is really important. They will cover far more than what most cruise lines will. So some final thoughts for you. Budget like a pro. You know, cruising, it is still a fantastic value for what you get. It's why I keep cruising. By far, when you think about what you'd be doing on land, right, it's so much more of a value. Transportation, lodging, food, and entertainment rolled into one, but it's not always the $399 vacation that adds promise, is it? When planning your cruise, I would say add at least 30 to 50% to the base fare for extras. That way, you're financially prepared to enjoy the fun splurges and, of course, the unexpected charges without ending up in cruise sticker shock. And that mode is no place to be, because the only thing you should be surprised by on your vacation is how good that third slice of midnight pizza tastes. Speaking of that late night pizza, I had plenty of that on board the Carnival Miracle recently. A full trip report from start to finish, and the unsettling thing that happened to me at a Mexican port that I share with you here on the right. And for other solo cruise adventures and cruise tips, check out the video on the left. We'll see you next time on the Solo Cruiser.